man. We haven't even got out of the gate, and we're already talking robots.
It's already frozen. Yep. Already frozen.
Red Solo Cup.
Well, that's too early. Greg, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
You ready for me now?
Oh. Man.
Announcements. Got to break that down. I've got a brand new drink special for you tonight. It's all next on the Bandwidth Boys podcast. Let's go.
Bandwidth Boys podcast.
Raindrops are falling on my head, and just like the guy's feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops are falling on my head, and they keep falling.
We talk about stuff, tech stuff.
I'm going on a limb and say that
And
we are
Bandwidth
not
Boys
off
podcast.
to a good start.
What's happened?
We're back at Robot Voice.
For a tech podcast, we are having an outstanding amount.
We can't blame the tech on. We have to blame the internet and the good old reliable Time Warner internet system.
Well, how do we know it's not Greg?
We know it's not Greg. Greg's got like 10,000 megabytes down. Greg's never the issue. I guarantee it is not the Comcast guy with 10,000 megabytes down.
10,000.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Well, I'm fine. It's just kind of a little stoppy-starty, huh?
Yeah, we just missed your cold open, but it's fine. We're into the Bandwidth Boys podcast. That's Greg. I'm Connolly. That's Matt.
I'm Matt. You know what it is, Connolly? You know what the problem is now? Would there be some streaming video in your house now that you no longer have cable?
No, it's not. Megan reads a book.
Oh, never mind that.
She knows that our internet sucks, so she just reads a book. But Greg looks good now, so why don't we just get into the news, shall we? Before Greg goes away.
Turns Mr. Robot.
So it's me. Okay. All right.
Greg, we're past you.
News time.
The good old Sesame Street is looking to help kids in yet another way. Months after announcing their new partnership with HBO, Sesame Workshop, which produces Sesame Street,
Love the show.
is looking to fund app developers who want to create apps to help people. In a new venture called Collab Plus Sesame, the group will look for entrepreneurs who are looking to help kids. Collab Plus Sesame will have access to, $10 million a year.
That's right.
They currently are looking to fund 10 different apps at $1 million each. We should make an app.
We should make an app.
New funding model if you have an idea in one of the 6 areas: education and media, food, health and wellness, family development, educator tools, and social and emotional development. They want to hear from you.
Well, yet another setback for the ever-fleeting BlackBerry. Facebook is joining WhatsApp in dropping support for the BlackBerry platform. A big surprise. Although we saw it coming as Facebook owns WhatsApp. Earlier this week, Facebook announced they're unfriending the new OS for BlackBerry along with its Facebook.
See what I did? Unfriending. You get it?
I liked it. It was good. It still is good.
You liked it.
I liked it. Get it? All right. A spokesperson for BlackBerry says, quote, "We are extremely disappointed in their decision as we know so many users love these apps. We fought back to work with WhatsApp and Facebook to change their minds, but at this time their decision stands."
What are you going to do? Say, Marky Mark, I don't like it. We can't. We got to make it happen, Marky Mark.
Facebook officials say, quote, "While those mobile devices have been an important part of our story, they don't offer the kind of capabilities we need to expand our app's features in the future." Unquote. Facebook says that 99.5% of smartphone sales today are covered by mobile phone operating systems from Apple, Google, and Microsoft.
Hey, Matt, the story's for you. 4K is coming to a screen near you.
I.e. my screen.
If you're a PlayStation user, Sony announced they are in the works at creating a 4K PS4. No word on when the new device will be released, but according to Kotaku, which is a website, they're hearing from developers that have been briefed from Sony that this is actually happening. According to Kotaku, the new PS4 0.5, as some people are calling it, will come up with a beefed-up processor and GPU. Although mid-cycle upgrades are not all that common among video game systems, this one seems to make sense as more and more TVs are broadcasting in 4K.
Add another well-known user to Instagram's growing resume, the Pope. Late Friday night, Pope Francis joined Instagram, posting his first picture and praying with a caption saying, "Pray for me." That post received nearly 300,000 likes. The Pope has since then posted 7 images and has 1.8 million followers. He currently isn't following anyone. Wow. But we think his first follow should be the Bandwidth Boys podcast. This marks the Pope's second venture into the U.S. social media market. His first was Twitter.
Now, the FBI says, Apple, we no longer need your help. We got this. The government said yesterday that an unnamed outside party has provided investigators with a method that might provide access to the phone's data. The U.S. Department of Justice sent a motion to cancel a hearing scheduled for today. Lawyers for the U.S. Department of Justice says, quote, testing is required to determine whether it is a viable method that will not compromise data on Farouk's iPhone. If the method is viable, it should eliminate the need for the assistance from Apple Incorporated set forth in the All Writs Act order in this case from like 1789, unquote. The unquote was before my comment about the second part. But anyway, the Justice Department has declined to comment on who the outside party is.
And that's a wrap on what's going on, Tech World. Busy week for Apple, which leads us into our big talk. Such a great song. I love the song.
Yeah.
So, as you just heard in the top story, that the FBI has found another way to get into the iPhone, possibly. So, meaning Apple will be off the hook if the FBI can do it. Matt, what's your feeling on that?
One of two things happened. I think the first one. The FBI has made the decision that this was not going to be the precedent case they were hoping it would be, because they realized that Apple probably was not the right company to go after. The other option is that there was some type of backdoor deal made, because Apple realized that if they were to lose this case, that it would be terrible for them. But I highly doubt that, because I trust Tim Cook. So I'm going to say the first one. And the FBI realized that this was not as easy as they hoped it would be, and they went another way.
Greg, what are your thoughts?
Well, I certainly fall in line with the couple of options that Matt laid out there. What I can't figure out is overall what they really were hoping to gain in a large way. I know what they want to gain from getting into the phone, but what do they gain from being into the lawsuit and dealing with what may or may not be kind of a shaky and somewhat sidewinding way to get to just sort of bulldoze in and get what they want? I think it was becoming apparently clear that they were just the bull in the china shop that the government truly is, and it was starting to look pretty ugly. I don't think they had a lot of support going after that particular lawsuit, and whether or not the government was going to win it. In fact, probably the odds are that they would, just because they're the government.
Right. I think along the lines of Matt's first theory is the FBI thought that they could go after the big head honcho and create precedents, and so anytime they wanted to get into a smartphone, they'd be able to.
Right.
And they chose the wrong company to go up against, as Apple has a very loyal following and a very smart following at that. And so I think that kind of backed the FBI into a corner, into, like Matt said, maybe a backdoor deal, which I don't think is quite possible, just because of Tim Cook and what he said. And I'm with Matt. I would tend to believe in Tim Cook and their stance on security for their mobile devices.
Well, and I just don't think the precedent would wind up actually setting much of a precedent for more than about 18 minutes until somebody else figured out the next way that they needed to encrypt while somebody else was busily trying to figure out how to hack it. It just that moves so quickly. It just seems so short-sighted of them to think that by solving that problem they were going to solve some larger problem. I just don't think so.
Yeah. So from that security, Monday, Apple had kind of a small event, right? Kind of a town hall event announcing a few new products. And so one of the first things that Tim Cook did bring up, though, was this encryption and users being able to feel secure that their Apple devices could encrypt their data and that no one except you should have access into it. And so that's kind of how Tim Cook kicked off this town hall, which if it wasn't for the FBI, would have been all about their new devices.
Mm-hmm.
But people want to hear what he would say about encryption. But anyways, into what he announced. They announced a new 4-inch iPhone model called the iPhone SE, and they released a new iPad going in the opposite direction of the iPad Pro. So a very scaled down, smaller iPad. So it looks like Apple is trending downwards. What do you think, Matt?
I don't think they're trending downwards. I think, and I personally think that this is a way better move than the 5C or whatever they did, the plastic one. I think they're realizing that the trend that they're creating is upwards. And I think that they inadvertently, I would say inadvertently, have alienated this lower end of the market. And so rather than creating the plastic phone again, they're just going back to a smaller phone to make it cheaper. So I wouldn't say that they're going back because I think that they're still very much going to get bigger. The phones are going to get bigger, but I think that they're just trying to create a bigger or a wider product line. I think to hit more people.
So the new 4-inch iPhone, 4-inch iPhone SE will retail at $399, a lot smaller than the 6S at $697.
Yeah.
So about half the price of that. The smaller iPad Pro. Both will go on sale March 31st, and then they announced a price cut of the Apple Watch by $50, which usually means
That
doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be true, but it usually means at their summer event in July, June. When do they usually hold their big summer event? A new iPad or a new iWatch will be released. Some people say it's because of the downward sale numbers, so they're lowering their Apple Watch price. I tend not to believe that, and tend to believe Apple's trend of releasing new products and lowering their old products to get them out of the shelves.
I wouldn't be surprised though if when the new one is released, it keeps the price, the $50 cheaper price point. That wouldn't surprise me.
And so the current Apple Watch you say will be less than $299.
Yeah.
Okay. So the there's more.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just pull the original Apple Watch, and they don't want to create that segmented one, and they just because it'd be like it's not like a phone anymore because now they have multiples, not like an iPad, like a Mac.
Mm-hmm.
Right. When the new one comes out, they just kill the old one because the newer one's better.
Right. Greg, what are your thoughts on Apple going smaller? Do you think it's what Matt says and they're trying to broaden their product line, or do you think they kind of saturated the market with these large items and they're trying to backpedal?
Well, some of the elements of both coincide. I guess it doesn't have to mean necessarily that they feel like they've lost market share, because I don't know what those numbers look like. Nor I haven't looked them up a single time, so it's speculation. I think I'd go more with the fact that there are people who don't necessarily want to continually have something larger and larger and larger that they're carrying around to be their communication device, and that's what most people use these things for, is for communicating. Text maybe more than talking, but it's different for everybody. But Yeah, that whole market of a smaller phone, and now the 4-inch phone, which used to be such a big deal because it took over what was a partial flip phone market.
Right.
Now, sort of is the flip phone, if you will. And so, so I think they're just offering something that quite a few people would just rather have in their pocket. It'll be much thinner, of course, than that iPhone 4, and so it'll be a really easy to carry around kind of small unit.
Well, Greg, let me pose a question to you because you recently just upgraded to 6S Plus, right?
Hates it.
And up until this point, you were on a 5?
No. Yes. Yeah.
And before that, did you have a smaller iPhone?
Well, actually, I had a 4. I lied. I had a 4 and I went to a 6.
So you went from a 4 to a 6.
I went from a 4 to a 6. I held on to my 4 for a long time, and then went right to a 6. And then I switched carriers, as we discussed in an earlier podcast. And then when I did, then we just changed out phones altogether. And again, as I explained then, and I won't go through the whole story again, but I just wound up with the Plus, not because I was seeking out a Plus necessarily, but because it was sort of it just was the better choice for me of what they had left in the store, and I didn't want to wait. I needed to get it done. So
you have all 3 sizes basically that Apple has now. Is a smaller phone, the 4 size, is that something you would ever go back to? Or did you find that the 6 was the sweet spot? Because I'm assuming you don't like the 6S Plus now because it's too big for you.
No, I know. I complain about it a lot, but I will be honest. I'm not thrilled about carrying it around. It bothers me a little about carrying it around. I find it much more difficult to find a pocket to put it in where I'm comfortable, or I'll put it in my back pocket, and then I'm more worried about sitting down. Think about, I suppose. But other than that, its usefulness, because I have a long commute, and I like the size of the screen. I won't lie, I like the size of the screen. I just don't like carrying around that much. So maybe the 6S is the sweet spot for right now. But I don't dislike my phone.
So I'm thinking that
Stop thinking.
I think there's very few Apple users who have been thinking, hey, we want a 4-inch phone back. So I'm thinking that it has to be targeting new people.
I would agree completely. Yeah, that's sort of what I was referencing when I was saying it took the place of on the timeline of smartphones of kind of that flip phone over to a smaller smartphone that happened several years ago.
I just think smartphones are too expensive in general.
And I think price is right. You're right. Price is a huge part of that too. They are ridiculously expensive.
Pricing a phone at around the $200, $300, $400 range that's got the power of a bigger phone is ideal to a lot of people who are looking to buy a smartphone but don't want to jump in at $700, or like Greg's family, right? Or my family soon when all my kids get smartphones, right? There's 6 of us in the family.
Yeah.
So I can't theoretically say I'm going to buy a $700 phone for all 6 of us. That's $3,200. That's a trip to Hawaii. Right, so you're right. I think in the sense that Apple is looking to expand its product line into affordable phones, not necessarily smaller phones. I think it's smaller because it's cheaper. I don't think it's smaller because people are asking for it to be smaller. I think it's smaller because the price says it has to be smaller, and I think that's what Apple is trying to get into that market of the Moto X and the Nexuses to kind of battle those out who are in the $299, $399 range. They've given up the low $199 range with Nokia, and they're going to let Nokia battle that out in third world countries where data's really slow, but people are all on WhatsApp. So I think they've given up that market. But I think the $200 to $300 range is kind of where Apple's looking at now to really capitalize, because they've really saturated that upper market, right? They've saturated that flagship $700 range. So whoever has that phone now, that's kind of who's going to have that phone, right? And so now I think they're moving on to a different market, and they'll invent for the people who are willing to spend money. But I think they see a bigger gain in cheaper phones.
Yeah.
Anything else in the Apple world?
Do we want to talk about the iPad?
The new one or the iPad Pro?
The new one.
The mini iPad Pro? Do I want to talk about it?
that kind of confused
I'm sick of
me.
the iPads, is what I am.
I'm starting to feel like there's too many iPads. And
there's the iPad Pro, right?
Yep.
There's the iPad Air.
Yep.
And then there's the iPad.
Yes. No. Isn't there an iPad Mini, or did they kill that line?
I don't know. There's a lot of iPads. It's very confusing.
I think there's too many.
Let's go.
Because I remember when there was one, and it was easy. And now there's so many.
I think they're trying to diversify their portfolio and try to, make something that's for everyone. So they got the iPad Pro, the iPad Air 2, the iPad Mini 4, the iPad Mini 2. So 4 different, and then they're going to add the iPad Pro Mini?
Yeah.
Or they're just calling it the iPad Pro and asking you to pick a size.
I think it's 2 sizes, yeah. It's like a MacBook Pro.
So they got 4 different iPads for you to choose from.
Really 5
What's the Pro difference? What's the significant Pro difference? I don't remember.
Processor?
Yeah, smaller. I think that was...
It's a computer, essentially.
The biggest draw is that it's just a smaller form for pretty much the same performance of the Pro. I don't know. No, I don't know. I think
iPad's got a... I mean, people love iPads because it's a cheaper solution than buying a computer, and it's a sidekick to your iPhone. And I think Apple forgot that. I think Apple wants to think that the iPad is a computer replacement.
Well,
and
because
at this point,
Surface is a computer replacement.
But at this point, people aren't buying tablets as a computer replacement. They're buying tablets as supplements, right? The Surface kind of hit a spot into being a computer replacement because essentially it is a computer. It's running the OS of a computer. It looks like a computer. It feels like a computer. But the iPad doesn't feel. It's got inputs, right? But the iPad doesn't feel like a computer. And I think Apple wants it to be a computer, and it's not a computer.
I think the opposite. I think they've worked very hard to make sure that it never did become in competition with their computers by not offering certain things. It's got its own market. I've never owned one. Everybody else in the family, I think, has one, or most of them do, but I never have had one.
I guess so. My question is, yeah, it's not like the computer experience now, but I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I don't know if people necessarily care that much, right? Because when you buy an iPad, you're buying an iPad for the iPad experience. So I think they're aware that it doesn't operate like a Surface, it doesn't operate like a laptop, but that's not the experience they're looking for. I just don't know why there's so many of them now. I think that's hurting them more than it's helping them, because I think they tried to create a system where there was something that could fill everyone's need. But you got to get to a point where you just kind of say, well, there's only a few options. You got to choose from these rather than making these 5 different sizes now. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. I'm hoping in the June announcement it's a new Apple Watch, and that's it. It's not going to be. But I'm hoping that's it. They're going to come out with a new iMac. They're going to come out with a new laptop. They're going to come out with a new iPhone. Yeah. It's just too much for me. Gosh, I'm starting to sound like Greg. It's just too much.
What's on Matt's mind?
We dive into the kitty litter brain of Matt Kawamura.
So The Verge... Well, I was trying to figure out what day this was written, and I realized the PDF version I made... Oh, wait. Yes, it does. Oh, no, that's when I made the PDF. I think it was today. The Verge released an article that was really good. They interviewed Matt McRae, who was the CTO at Vizio. And they were just kind of, seeing what Vizio was up to, because Matt has always been a huge proponent for, pushing technology forward. I know people don't really believe it or understand it, but Vizio is like the largest producer of televisions in the U.S., and they are the largest seller, period. And they, a lot of times, are on the cutting edge of things. Sony and Panasonic and who else? LG.
Yeah, Samsung.
Samsung. Yeah, they have panels that dive into more improved technologies, but Vizio a lot of times are the first company to push out these new features. on TVs. Anyway, they were talking to him about, what's the next step, and basically Matt, the first part of the article is just Matt talking about his hatred of remote controls, and this idea.
Probably because he loses it all the time. I lose my remote every single time. And kids take it, they put it under the couch. It doesn't beep at me like, "Where's the remote? Beep beep, I'm right here." Nope, it just sits there. Doesn't help me find it.
And I remember when I was a kid, one of my friends had a TV that actually had a button on the TV you could press to make your remote beep, and I thought that was the coolest thing. And I've never seen that since. So I don't know what happened with that. But he's just talking about how the remote is this so archaic idea that you have this plastic box with these rubber buttons that has to be pointed directly at the TV to work, and how that doesn't really make sense anymore. Exactly.
Greg's got a nice looking one.
Greg, that technology is as old as you are.
Whoa.
Yeah. I better get it a pain reliever.
Put it in a box. It's going to be worth a lot of money soon, Greg.
Right.
Yeah. Vizio gets their thing going. Anyway, he with their new P-Series TVs, which is the top of the line before you hit their reference class panels, they're not shipping with remote controls. They're shipping with Android-powered tablets, and the TVs don't have any type of menu structure. They don't have anything on screen. Everything is done on this tablet, and they're teaming up with Google, and they're using the Kinect technology, which is what powers the Chromecast, and they're working with them to create basically a TV remote control app that if you're changing, the color settings on your TV, there's nothing on screen. You do it on the tablet, and the ability to then install this app on whatever phone you're using, and so you don't have to use this remote control. And he said something that really hit or made sense in my head, was that we keep expecting these TVs to do things when really a TV should only view things. It shouldn't have to run an app to watch something. It shouldn't have to run anything else other than just create a beautiful picture, and that you really should have another device that's doing the heavy lifting.
Amen, because we know that the TV can't do anything else but view.
Because very few people have a great smart TV experience, right? It's usually you hear of these headaches people have of just the poor UI and the slow speed of these apps, and really it makes sense, right? Because you're not building a computer, you're supposed to be building a TV.
Wrong way, Greg. Wrong way.
There you go.
Greg loves his smart TV experience. No, I think that's a really, really cool idea. Does your house have to be Wi-Fi connected?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
just saying, like, one day if your Wi-Fi your router goes down, you can't turn the TV on and off. You can't change the channel. You can't do anything.
Well,
right, like your router breaks. It happens. Routers last for 5 days before they go down every 6 days, whatever. I'm just saying, if it has to be connected to the Wi-Fi in your house and that Wi-Fi goes down, what happens?
I mean, I think in the state that this is in now, I think it wouldn't work. But I mean, I don't see a reason that they can't build in IR to this tablet to have kind of a fallback in case your router goes down.
I like the idea, though.
But it's an almost idea. This is such a bridge idea here.
What's the ultimate, Greg?
But I mean, if they're giving you a tablet and saying you no longer have a remote, I'm calling BS on that. I guess that tablet is the remote, because you have to have that to do the TV thing. And I totally get it that having dependable and quality wireless in homes is increasing at a rate that finally it will catch up. But once we're across the bridge, there's no way that you're going to have a tablet. It's going to be like the brick phone, as the constant reminder of what old technology looks like when you look back on it. But it's just good, obviously. And I think, Matt, you even essentially said it in one way or another that eventually they're developing an app, and so it's got to be an app that you just go to any app store, whether you're at Google or Mac or whatever, or Apple rather, or whatever you are, and you've just got to be able to get that thing. Sorry. Whoever produces apps
There
you
go.
go get one.
And BlackBerry.
Well, not BlackBerry, as we discovered, but they've been unfriended, as I understand. Anyhow, it's an obvious bridge, and it's kind of a clunky one, but it's no more or less clunky, I don't think, than what the smart TVs and how ridiculously slow it is. It was a gimmick, and yeah, I've even accessed stuff that way. I still have, but it's just so slow and so crazy. But right now, I can't watch Apple TV, and neither can either one of you or Roku or anything else like that if your router goes out. It's all dependent on that stuff.
But I can still watch the TV. I can still watch the cable that's plugged into it.
You could, yeah, right. But the bridge is what I'm talking about. Is that we're already getting to the place where we rely on it and we stop thinking about it so much. It's not like we have to deal with it all the time. Oh, I can only watch my Apple TV about a third of the time because I can't get my wireless to work. Well, that isn't the case. It works almost all the time. Yeah. But and then eventually it'll be so, it won't be anything more or less than the TV just breaking and not working.
Right. I think it's a cool idea. I still want a remote though. Just a simple remote, like the Apple TV. Very simple remote. It's got channel buttons. It's got volume buttons, just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case. The redundancy is what I like.
It is an interesting thought for me though, because I feel like this new remote technology keeps hanging on to the idea that at heart this is a smart TV. And it hangs on to the idea that I still am going to do all of my media control and consumption through the TV itself, and that I won't ever be using something like an Apple TV or Roku. Because when I do use the Apple TV, right, I'm using the Apple TV remote. When I use a Roku, I'm using the Roku remote.
Right.
So unless the experience of the app that's on it is truly equal to that of a set-top streaming box, I don't know if I'm really ever going to use the built-in functionality of the TV. So I think that's a bigger hurdle than the remote. If the app and the UI on the TV performs just as well as a set-top streaming device, I'd have no problem using the built-ins. But I don't think we're at that point yet.
Right.
And I think I'm locked into using another device to do that.
Yeah, until we get one that becomes as universal as the idea of the universal remote, which was, a crazy idea at one point too, where you could program in the right numbers from your television and look them up and get all that stuff so that it understood what TV it was talking to. It'll have to be a similar situation where that if you need to use the remote that literally powers the set and changes the stuff on the set, then it'll have to be that universal before it's really useful.
On Matt's Mind.
Like he said, that's what's on Matt's mind.
The cat litter mind of Matt Kawamura. That's what he has from this point on.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to just stick with that for quite some time. That purchase left a mark. It left a mark on both of us. I know that.
Fellas, baby got back.
All right, crowdfunding time, huh?
Matt, do you know who sings that song or raps that song?
Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Okay.
Yep, from Seattle, Washington.
Just wanted to make sure Matt was cool enough to know who that was. All right.
Oh, wait, before you go.
Oh, gosh.
I should have read further.
There's more. We already closed your segment.
I know.
Your mind is shut down for the show.
I just
We're
need one
moving
more
on.
sentence. Just to calm down your mind, Connolly, the P series will still accept the same IR remote commands as any other Vizio TV, and it even comes with a small standard remote to control those settings.
There you go. See?
So it's the perfect TV for you.
Until the Android remote dies.
Well, that's fine.
You can't take the batteries out. All right. So this week we go to the world of Kickstarter. And this project is called The Blind Eagle. So we always talk about trusting the government with our electronic devices. We always talk about trusting Google with our data and Apple with our data. Well, there's some people out there who don't trust anyone, and this could be a solution for them. It's called The Blind Eagle, world's first unbreakable chats and email. We'll listen to just about a minute of the video, and then we'll break it down for you. So, The Blind Eagle, take a listen.
know who can really access your emails and private messages, or access your documents and pictures stored in the cloud? Since revelations of mass spying, the safety of our communications is now being questioned.
Nowadays, IT giants won't hesitate to sell our private life in return for a free service. Every aspect of our data is stored and analyzed. This allows also for a growing number of governments to silently control their citizens and illegally spy on those next door. Don't forget, if it's free, you're the product.
Every one of us is in danger of being spied on, because it's simple and gainful. Our mission starts with the illusion of security ends. At Blind Eagle, we give you the best system ever made that no one else managed to create. Our messaging and email systems rely on the Venom cipher, which we made our own. This cipher is absolutely unbreakable, and we stand behind it. The encryption keys come from quantum phenomena, and you personally receive the sealed key. It does not transit through any virtual network. Thanks to the external unit dedicated to ciphering, you can finally be safe.
Such epic music they have for their Kickstarter video. But anyways, it's called the Blind Eagle, the world's first unbreakable chats and emails. So here's how it works. You purchase this dongle that plugs into, it looks like your headphone jack, for now, until they get rid of the headphone jack. Thank you, Apple. And it encrypts the data. Apparently, it doesn't send it to the cloud. It doesn't send it to anywhere. It just sends it from dongle, and then you send it to another person who has your receiving dongle. So essentially, you're locking a lock, and you're sending it to another dongle that'll have your key and unlock it. They can read it, and then vice versa, and you can do it in real time. You have to do it through their app, though. Their app provides you instant messaging and provides you email. So you're not using Gmail or Google or whatever you're most comfortable with. You have to use their app, and then it goes to the dongle for encryption and sends it off. In theory, that's the project. That's the project. I figure Matt has a lot to say on encryption because Matt talks about encryption a lot, so we'll take Matt. We'll let Matt dive into this.
It sounds like iMessage. The only difference is that rather than using an external encryption key like this product is, iMessage uses a built-in one on the iPhone. But it sounds exactly like iMessage. It's just end-to-end encryption, which is what the FBI hates.
What about email? This does end-to-end email encryption as well.
That would be a different thing. But that's not to say that you can't find end-to-end security email now.
Right.
Without having to plug this ungodly big device into your phone.
It's not that big.
And what if you lose it? Then
you got nothing.
You are permanently locked out of everything.
Nothing. What if your headphone jack no longer works?
Yeah, there's so many what ifs here. What if you break this one? It's a unique device.
Right.
So you can never get into what you had.
Greg, what are your thoughts on the Blind Eagle? Do you care about encryption as much as this product says you should care about encryption?
I don't even like to have to lock my car.
Great.
I mean, I do it, but it irritates me just a little bit every time because of no. There's no way. I mean, that just seems. I just can't live like that, where I'm that worried about the information that I'm sending. What am I doing on a daily basis? What information am I transmitting? I know somebody's going to tell me, well, you're careless with your passwords and your bank accounts and all the stuff. But having to use a proprietary email address and a proprietary physical attachment to my communication devices is just not why I got into the game. I mean, we could just. Maybe I'll just have to hand deliver the information I'm so worried about.
Then you're a carrier pigeon.
Yeah, I'm way out of being that worried. I just don't think most of the world is trying to screw me over quite that much.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I mean, you have this dongle, right? But you can only encrypt it with someone who's got the dongle.
That's what I mean.
In order for you to communicate, you got to send a dongle to someone via the mail. And they have to receive it, and they have to have this constantly plugged in, right? How do you listen to music? You can't listen to music because your headphone jack is taken out. So, for me, I think the theory is cool, and you have to trust them. You have to trust that your data is being encrypted. You have to trust that their software is saying what it's going to, and it's not going to a cloud. It's not going to their servers. And, how much do people know about the Blind Eagle SPRL? I know nothing. And so to put your faith behind this company that's, semi-young, I'm sure they are what they say they are, and they're all about allowing people to encrypt their data. Do you trust them over the Apples? And do you trust them over the Googles? I definitely trust them over Microsoft.
Yeah,
everyone over Microsoft. But do you trust them over Apple and Google? And that's the question you should probably ask. So I'll pose the question as I do every week. To get into the game, a super early bird special to get you one dongle will cost you $21. Matt, you back it at $21, or you say no thanks?
No thank you on this one.
Greg?
Price point awesome. I have no interest in it, however. No thanks.
To me, I think the price point is not awesome at $21. You got to buy at least two. That's $42. If you have a second friend, so three of you guys want to talk, that's another $21. So for me, priced out, and I just don't have that much secret stuff to keep. So I'm out.
Well, that makes it a 3-0 vote. Baby, not backed.
No back. You got no back, baby. All right, so from Baby Got Back to a little game I like to call Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire.
No, baby, no, don't lie. No, yeah, you know, you gotta try. What you gonna do when it all comes out? When you see you, you're all around. No, baby, no, don't lie.
So the internet is full of crazy facts, crazy, weird, stupid facts, right?
Right.
So you guys are going to decide.
A lot of them.
What?
The FBI based.
All right, enough. Matt's mind is closed. So at this time, you guys are going to determine what's the truth and what's a lie. So I'm going to tell you 2 lies and 1 truth about a topic, and whoever's first will use their buzzer, their magical buzzer, to tell me which one is the truth. The person with more points wins the game.
Nice.
So the first don't lie topic is Google. Google. Here we go. Is the truth A, Google rents out goats from a company called California Grazing?
Wait. Sorry. So you're going to say 3 things.
I just started.
One of them's the truth?
One of them's the truth, 2 of them's a lie.
So we have to tell you which one the truth is.
You have to tell me which one the truth is. Thank goodness he was listening to the rules. Here we go again. Is the truth A, Google rents out goats from a company called California Grazing to help cut down the amount of weeds and brush at Google headquarters? B, Google just bought up 50,000 acres of desert to develop smart driving cars? Or C, Google has exceeded over 1.5 billion views on YouTube each day from within the United States?
Matt,
A, you think they rent out goats from a company called California Grazing to cut down the amount of weeds and brush at Google headquarters?
Yes.
That's your answer?
Yes.
Over 1.5 million views you say is a lie?
Yeah.
All right. You're correct. Mm-hmm. They indeed do rent out some goats to cut down on weeds and brush. So there you go, Matt. You're up 1-0. Here we go.
The best lead I have.
Next category is playback devices. Is the truth A, the first DVD player ever created used to be the size of a Toyota Prius and would overheat after playing a movie for just 10 minutes? B, the first VCR, which was made in 1956, was the size of a piano? Or C, the first Blu-ray player developed was made of all metal and weighed in at 150 pounds?
Greg.
B. The first VCR, which was made in 1956, was the size of a piano, and that is correct.
See, that wasn't fair.
Why wasn't it fair? He got the arrow. Why wasn't that one fair? Because Greg was alive. Greg wasn't alive in 1956.
Was it fair that you got the first one right? That was what I was going to answer too. I mean, I don't remember breaking down in some sort of...
Matt's got a goat thing. So, all right, here we go.
All right.
This next one is 1-1. We're doing great. We're 2 for 2 on correct answers. You guys are rolling along here.
First.
Number 3 is the adoption of technology, which is true. A, the Android platform took 6 years to reach a market share of 100 million users. B, the iPad caught on and blew up, hitting its 150 million person goal in just 2 years. Or C, the iPad took 3 years to reach a market audience of 50 million. So it's A, Android took 6 years to get to 100 million users. B, the iPad took 2 years to get to 150 million users. Or C, the iPod took 3 years to get to 50 million. Which is the truth?
Matt. A.
You're saying the Android platform took 6 years to reach 100 million users.
Yeah.
That is not correct. So, Greg, you got the iPad. That took 2 years to get to 150 million.
Greg.
Or the iPod. Go ahead. You say the iPod took 3 years to reach market share.
That's what I'm doing.
That is correct. 3 years to reach 50 million. Greg's up 2-1, Matt.
Greg, we'll do that game next weekend.
The iPad.
I use it for every game.
For some context, the iPad, since it was first developed, how many millions of iPads do you think were sold since 2010?
150.
Okay. Greg, this is not for any points. It's just for context.
I'm sorry, you have to say the question again.
iPad, how many iPads were sold since 2010? Just for context, no points.
Right, and you said 150 million?
Yes.
Gosh. I'll go. I mean, I think maybe I'll just go below it at 100.
300 million.
300, wow.
2010. For more context, so the iPod took 3 years to get to 50.
50.
To 50 million, right. The radio took 38 years to get to 50 million, and the TV took 13 years to get to 50 million.
Yeah. That's why I guessed the 50 million on the iPod, because it was the early entry.
That's right. All right. Number 4, 2-1. Greg has the green arrow up. Matt's got the red arrow down. 2-1. Here we go. Category is body and technology.
A
random category, but here we go.
Yeah, it is. The two are... All right, fine.
The truth. The average computer user blinks 7 times a minute. The normal rate is 20 times per minute. Or is it B, when you sit in front of a computer, you'll have the urge to use the bathroom every 15 minutes? Or is it C, more than 85% of people use their smartphones while using the bathroom? Do you have the urge every 15 minutes to use the bathroom? That's the question.
I'm going, Greg.
Go ahead.
A.
The average computer user blinks 7 times a minute. Normally they blink 20 times. That is correct. The bathroom one was me. Apparently, 85% is a very high number when it comes to people using it in the bathroom. The percentage by survey, so, that's probably a lie.
Anybody who's willing to answer.
Right. It's 61%. So
that's it?
That's it.
What does everyone else do?
They sit and use the bathroom like a normal human being.
Oh.
Before you know it, you're done.
That's what I'm saying. I just we all 1%. That guy.
Yeah.
Right arrow. All right, 3-1. Greg
went right from magazines to technology. Just a smooth transition, huh?
Smooth. All right, next one is the internet. Here we go. Is the truth Safari internet browser is the fastest internet browser out there?
Nope.
It constantly
Just
loads.
for the record, I agree completely. Yeah, I think we know that.
Faster than other browsers, beating out Opera, Chrome, Internet Explorer, and Firefox. We'll skip that one.
Just get it down to a 2 question.
Is it B? Google Chrome icon looks like a spinning red, green, and blue circle because developers were playing a game of Frisbee one day and thought, how cool does that thing look as it spins? Or is it C? A red panda is an animal native to the Himalayas in southwestern China. The English word for red panda is Firefox. which is where the browser gets its name from. So the Firefox logo is actually a red panda, not a fox.
Man, it's a crapshoot.
That's a crapshoot. Matt, you need this one to stay in the game.
Matt.
Here we go.
B.
I thought you would.
Google Chrome and the Frisbee game.
Yeah.
It's not. It's actually the red panda.
Wow.
It is a red panda, not a fox.
Well, unfortunately, we eliminated the third one, so I don't get any
Google
points.
one was a good one I made up, wasn't it?
That was
All right.
good.
Last one, Matt can't win, so Greg's going to win the game, but just for fun, it's the internet again. The first registered domain was symbolics.com. The first registered domain was yo.com. The first registered domain was sup.com. One of those.
One of those is the right answer. Wow.
Symbolics.com, yo.com, or sup.com.
I feel like I need to get my red arrow ready.
You have to say your name.
Matt.
Matt for pride.
What do you got?
You're going to go with symbolics.com,
Yes.
not yo.com or sup.com?
Yeah, Symbolics.
That is correct. Symbolics.com was the first registered domain. By a score of 3-2, 4-2. I lied. 4-2. Greg walks away.
Doesn't matter.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
No, 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 baby, no, 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 don't lie. 'Cause you no, 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 yeah, you no, 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 you gotta try.
So, from lies to my new favorite segment.
Red Solo Cup. Let's have a party. Let's have a party. I love you, Red Solo Cup.
So last week, Greg gave us a delicious drink that I haven't tried yet, but it's on my list of things to try. I told my wife about it the day after the show, and she had that tequila look on her face. That
Right, yeah, it's scrunched up.
But
yeah.
she also doesn't like grapefruit juice, so I don't think she's going to try it.
That was a lose-lose.
It was a lose-lose altogether, but if you're willing to try it, 3 ice cubes, a shot of tequila if you're feeling good, 2 shots of tequila, some grape juice.
Well, then you'll be feeling good.
Then you're feeling good. And then a little spritzer on the top to end it all, and you stir it all together. That was last week's drink. So, Greg, give us what's in your cup this week.
It's the straight up, but I'm also trying so desperately to think sunshine and back patio kind of drinking. That's tequila grapefruit, although that's a year-long event for us here in our household. But as you know, as fruity and summery as it might seem, it works just as well in the wintertime, we've noticed. But I'm going with the straight up the gin martini.
Gin martini. Have you ever had a martini?
No.
I've never had
I
a
have
martini
not.
either.
If
I'm
you
not
want,
classy enough for a martini.
I don't know. I don't see it that way, just as a classy sort of thing necessarily. I know what you mean though.
It comes in a fancy glass. So anything
It's
with
an old. Well, I know it does. Yeah, you're right.
It has like olive juice in it, right?
I don't think it has
Or-
olive juice.
or an
I
ol-
think
Well, you can order it several different ways. That's for sure. But
Yeah.
I tend to. I do like an olive or two in mine. I like it just up. And
what does that mean? Up.
It means he tugged it because it's pointing up.
And I'm down.
it just means there's not a whole lot going into making the drink, other than you get ice. You've got a shaker, and you put the gin in there, and in my case, I like it shaken, as James Bond would say, I guess. Not stirred, but you shake that all together. It puts a nice little sheen of ice on top of it because it cools it down to a near freeze there. Little sheen of ice. Drop in some olives. Some people like to dirty it up a little bit, like you say, by putting a little something in there and allowing it to cloud it up a little bit of something. Yeah. Several choices. Some people like orange slices or lemons and all kinds of other stuff, on the sides of them. But I just like just ice, olives, gin.
So what's in Greg's cup is a perfect sunny summer weather drink, a gin martini.
Wait.
Shaken, not stirred.
With olives.
With olives.
Yeah.
So it's a little dirty.
So it's gin with with an olive.
That's all it is, kids.
With some ice, shaken. Not stirred.
That's right.
I really thought there was more to a martini than just alcohol.
Well, no, there can be. People sometimes put the little spritzes of this, that, or the other to give it different flavors, I suppose. But I wouldn't know because I don't order them that way.
In a shaker, and then you pour in gin.
That's right. But it's about getting the temperature right, and then getting.
How fast does the shaking have to happen? Is it like a vigorous shake or a very easy shake?
I think it's pretty comfortable. I don't know. This is a relaxing event. We're not trying to set some sort of a land speed record with it.
Red Solo Cup, I fill you up. Let's have a party. Let's have a party. I love you, Red Solo Cup.
I think we found the title of our show, Shaken Not Stirred.
You might have to look that one up. I bet it's taken somehow.
All right, time to round out the show with this week's Rants and Raves. Who wants to take a stab at it first?
Well, I don't have one this week, so.
Okay.
I'll go. Philips Hue bulbs. Just got them today.
Yeah.
With my 25 minutes of working and playing with them. Totally worth it.
Cool.
$60 a piece. I would say they should work.
And they're just cool. I don't know.
I don't get it. I mean, I get it. I don't get it.
What
I can't do it.
What don't you get?
I just don't get how much money you have to invest for lights.
But you're not investing.
Turn on
in
the freaking light. Turn off the freaking light. That's all I need.
You're investing in the experience.
That's all I need.
So let me tell you real quick what I've done in the 25 minutes I've worked with them. I've set up obviously a white scheme, right? So it's just regular.
Does the girlfriend care?
She will.
She won't.
She said it was cool.
What she's gonna care about is when your electricity goes off. You go to sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning. You forget that the light switch is on, and boom, electricity comes back, and all the lights go back on. And then you're over there fumbling for your smartphone to turn them off. She's going to get out of bed, and she's going to go flick the damn switch.
Does that happen to you?
No, I'm just saying. In theory, that's what's going to happen. And when that scenario comes true, you let me know.
Okay. Well, I set up an all-white scene, obviously, right, just regular lights. I set up a pre-show setting, right? So I have some blue lights on the side, a nice red light behind the TV for some nice bias lighting, and then I have a show set up where the lights dim. I get blue lights on the side and a nice orange glow around my TV. It's nice and fancy.
That cost you $180 to get that effect.
And
I spent $10 on an LED string light in the back of my TV. $10.
Well, it's not. Can you change the colors on your phone when you walk in the room?
I don't need to.
Automate it?
I don't need to.
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
Yeah.
It's true. It's my opinion. All right. This week, I went to the beautiful and wonderful cell phone carrier store.
Oh, boy.
To upgrade my phone. I had a Moto X first generation. Lasted 3 years. Pretty good. The lock button stopped working. So I was randomly sending people emails. I accidentally sent my kid's preschool a gibberish email. So she quickly replied, "Are you okay?
Are you having a stroke?
Do you need help?" Something along those lines. So at that point, I decided, all right, I got to go get a new phone. So I did my research. I didn't want to get into the Apple iPhone thing. I knew I wanted to stay in the Android platform. All my Google things are set up. I pay for Google Drive and all that stuff. So I was going to stay in the Android platform. So, So there's a new phone called the
S7.
S7. And so I went out and I bought the Galaxy S7. Greg, how long do you think I was at the AT&T store signing up to get my new S7 phone? That's all I wanted to do. I wasn't upgrading a plan. I wasn't changing numbers. I wasn't taking anyone off the plan. I wasn't adding anyone on the plan. I literally was going in to do the AT&T Next S7. How long do you think I was there?
Was it I know you're not supposed to answer a question with a question, but was it more than 30 minutes?
It was more than 30 minutes.
Okay.
It was more than 45 minutes.
Oh.
It was more than an hour. I was there for an hour and 25 minutes. to get a new phone.
The week before, I got 5 new phones and a new plan in 41 minutes. I don't know about the one part, but it was around 40 minutes.
I can tell you why it took so long. It wasn't that he was trying to upsell me, because every time he said, "Oh, you can have this for free," I said, "Don't want it." He said, "Oh, you can have more data." Don't want it. "Oh, you can have the new VR." Don't want it. "Have you looked at it?" Don't want it. So everything they tried to upsell me, I was good. Didn't want it. What took forever and shocked the heck out of me was the slow internet that they use for their iPads. Apparently, they're on their own AT&T network that is set up, and it is so slow. Like, you think my internet is bad? It is slow. They push a button, and you literally wait for 90 seconds while it says loading, 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 loading.
That is the silliest thing I've ever heard. That's like going into a company that's a Costco, or if you want to use that example, and having them not feed a beautiful picture to all of the televisions to try to sell them, and just putting it on the local station and trying to get it in on some rabbit ears there inside Costco, and thinking that that's going to work out. It's like, look, go ahead and do the behind the curtain deal. Buy the fastest dang internet you could ever imagine and have your network going so it looks like you're just kicking ass, and then people will believe that maybe they're on the AT&T network.
Right.
This is not where you need truth. We do not need truth here.
I don't need truth. I am in your store to do one thing.
Crazy.
Buy a damn phone. I want to give you money. Many people don't want to do that. Many people go into the store saying, "I don't want to give you any money." I wanted to give them money. An hour and 20 minutes. I wanted to take the iPad, turn off the Wi-Fi, and say, "Use the damn 4G LTE data. It'll be a lot faster." Yeah, it was. But in the end, I got my S7. I was a very nice customer. I wasn't mean. Matt was there. Matt was creepy. Matt texted me. He's like, "Have you gotten your phone yet?" I said, "No, I'm buying it." And who appears at the AT&T store? This tall Asian guy. You saw how patient I was.
Yeah, and I also
saw the guy was shorter than me,
which was amazing.
Yeah.
And I also saw that your kid wanted to take all the free upsells.
Yeah, my kid wanted all the free data. He wanted the new tablet they were giving him. He wanted me to buy the new VR thing. He was all about the upsells, and he said, "I said, how are you going to pay for it, Brennan?" And he goes, "Well, your credit card."
He's learning.
He's learned. It's done. It's over.
So, that's my rant. If you're going to sell me something, and you're an internet provider or you're a data provider, figure out in store how to make your data work. Just saying.
It's like going in.
I say, use someone else's high-speed data and just say it's yours.
That's right.
Just don't say anything. I mean, that's just crazy to do that. That's nuts.
Oh God.
Is it still pre-birthday work we're doing here?
Work. Just a reminder, April is my birthday celebration month, so we'll do my favorite things every Sunday. We'll get my favorite thing that I own, and then my favorite thing that I think I want to own. So you'll get 2 cool things every week in the month of April as Connolly celebrates his birthday month, leading up to the big day with Edward R. Murrow, April 25th.
Oh, my foot's cramping.
That's probably one thing that I'm going to experience when I turn 29. Let's put a bow on the show, Greg.
Why not? That is going to close it up. Another episode of the Bandwidth Boys podcast. Thanks for joining us. And if you missed us live, don't worry. You can download and listen to the podcast by using iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. If you subscribe, you'll also get our daily tech updates, Bandwidth Boys Quick Hits.
Bandwidth Boys Podcast. Facebook, Bandwidth Boys Podcast. Twitter, @GMK Podcast. Web, bandwidthboys.com. Bandwidth Boys Podcast.
And with that, I am Greg.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Connolly.
We'll talk to you next time. Same place, same time, same old shenanigans right here on the Bandwidth Boys Podcast. Keep on teching on.